What's up guys, it's TyranitarTube and the Pokemon Direct has been announced. We've waited so long and it's finally here. I can finally make sick videos once this information gets revealed. So here's the details. Can you believe it's been 3 months since Scarlet and Violet came out? So here's the announcement. The next Pokemon Presents is on its way, trainers. The news we're gonna get from this is about to be insane. So obviously I haven't been making too many videos on Scarlet and Violet in the last week or two. It's because there's no news. I don't want to BS random videos, but there is one interesting theory that I wanted to talk about. But first, let's talk about the Pokemon Presents. So what are we hoping for in this Pokemon Presents? Let's forget about the other games. For Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, obviously we're expecting 2 DLCs, and then this is what I'm expecting. In terms of the Pokemon that are in the decks, I'm expecting a new regional variant, a new cross evolution, a new regional fake, and a new paradox Pokemon. We know some cool caveats, like there was a regional fake Gyarados scrapped. Maybe it could show up in this, but that's the holy 4. All 4 of those would be extremely interesting. The cross evolutions, we only had 4 in the games: Farigiraf, Kingambit, Annihilate, and the Dunsparce. To add just one more to that would be so cool. And then moving that aside, another thing to expect in the DLCs is of course them acknowledging the 2 drawings Heath made. Now, Ku on Twitter said some interesting things about this. So when we had the 2 drawings of the Suicune and the Virizion, we expected more or less they would look like that, just like how we have the Donphan paradox, and the real one looks essentially exactly like that, minus the bigger feet and all. You'd imagine Heat's team just emphasized it because they were so terrified of it. So naturally you'd expect that when Suicune and Virizion actually get revealed, that they'll still look more or less like this. But here's a bombshell. So here's Ku's tweet about paradox Suicune. I'm sure it could be for both, but at least it's for Suicune right now. And he crossed out, of the 4 potential ways Suicune could look, he crossed out the actual way it's supposed to look. He's saying that's not what Suicune looks like. He's not on all 4s. He could be a Tyrogue looking man standing up. He could be a Tyranitar design, or he could be like a Dragonite flying design. But the one design it is not. Is it on all 4s? This is crazy. So to me, this sucker's out of the picture. We're not getting a mascot starter again. It's one of these 2, and I'm leading to this one, especially since we have the idea that Suicune could be a water dragon type. Maybe this man has full wings. Pull up the picture again. How did he possibly draw it like this? Maybe it's something like, while they thought it was fantastical that it was based off like a shadow they saw walking by, like let's say the Suicune jumped over a cliff and they saw the shadow, and then Heat's team made that depiction, calling it fantastical, but you know, basing it off something. One more thing Ku tweeted that I need to show you guys is this. So Ku tweeted this hexagon, and we're gonna assume this has to do with Scarlet and Violet in general or the 3rd legendary, and he asks, what will this grow into? Let's save you the trouble. Here's the next stage in the design. Where the pattern is growing, it's a hexagon pattern, the same way Sadantur described interlocking plates. And so a couple things here. When you look at Heat's picture in the Scarlet and Violet book, you see this picture where a bunch of gems are sticking out. That's the closest thing we see to hexagons, but those aren't interlocking plates at all. We don't see the same thing Sadantur saw. Then Ku completes the picture, and this is what we get. This is not infinite interlocking plates. It has a couple different looks to it. So the first look is, this is kind of what the Terra symbol looks like. But another thing that this leads into is an interesting theory that was going around, which is the turtle theory. Now we all know the mythology of the land, the earth being on a turtle that's walking somewhere. Maybe it's floating through space, but it's becoming more and more possible. And over the last few days, the more I think about what the 3rd legendary could actually be, I'm thinking it really is a turtle. It's a turtle that doesn't mean no harm. It's just extremely powerful and in the crater. And then Sadantur and Heath, they've all just gone and messed with it. So first I want to show you a kind of ass version of the theory, right? So here you go. Here's a turtle with a bit of land on it, and this is the gist that people are starting to talk about, which is that the entire Paldia region is the turtle, and that when you see Heat's drawing and it has the crown in the middle, that the whole circle, the disc that Heath describes, is the earth. Now we'll get into that in a second, but this is an interesting theory on the surface, because if you look at Paldia, this does look like a turtle. This looks like the head of the turtle, the main body, and thus the crown being right there from Heat's picture, and the arms and legs and tail. But what does this mean? Because it's not like the turtle can roam with Paldia on its back, even though it'd be a cool lore to the region that it's a roaming turtle. But he can't be roaming because his tail is stuck to Kalos. So this sucker is just docked here forever, unless we go with a different approach, like the turtle docked here like hundreds of thousands of years ago, and this landmass form connecting it to Kalos. Obviously doesn't reflect the real world, but you know, it's a fantasy world. This would be Pokemon's lore of Spain. In that case, it could be kind of cool. But the question here is how Heath even saw what he did in Area Zero. Let's say the drawing is a turtle-like Pokemon that is surrounded by the earth. How did he see that in Area Zero? It's almost like Heath really just stared into like a magical pot of water that showed him something, and then he drew this. Because he got the stars all around. There's no way he went deep into Area Zero and saw stars. And truly, the turtle in Heath's drawing looked kind of cute. Why did you have to go and bother it? Anyhow, while we're on this turtle theory, let me show you a couple cool fan arts. So here's one. Here's the image that he drew. AgeMan20XX on Reddit traced it and tried to give it a cool coloring. There's the Terrasto symbol that floats above and the crown that's on its back. So they've taken that weird ball in the back to be its shell, which if you'd look at it, it does have the interlocking hexagon plates. But so does the big thing. We just gotta assume the big thing is something else. Obviously, the legendary looks weird as hell, but in the last few gens, what third legendary has looked normal? And then here's some cool fan art by RNow555. It's kind of cool. Now, the way it's drawn here, the legendary looks a lot smaller. I'm almost imagining the same way you do a Terra raid battle, that you're gonna fight this giant turtle with your goons beside you. So I would not imagine it to be small in the slightest. So there's some cool details in this Pokemon. One, it's got the same shell as in the picture, but also they show the crystals protruding out of its body, which you would imagine can explain how he saw all those crystals when he went down, and the same crystals you see when you go down. And it also explains the crown formation. It's almost like if you went deep enough into those crystals, you would see the crown. Anyhow, if Heath got the image of Suicune and Virizion wrong, I'm certain he got the image of this wrong as well. And even if he didn't, if this is the third legendary for the most part, it must have another form. Alright, before I end this, let me show you one last thing. Someone on Twitter sent me a bingo card. So let's just play bingo here. What do you expect out of the next Pokemon Presents? Let's see what people have put on their list. Next Legends games. What's wrong with y'all? New Pokemon reveal. Look, this is legit. They could totally reveal a random mythical Pokemon. Kalos AZ mention. Bro, could you imagine if there's like a slight silhouette or something of AZ in the DLC, bro? People in the trailer, people go crazy. And the main thing people have wanted since the start of Pokemon is to just connect the regions. They connected it once in Johto and then never again. Gen 5 remakes. Are you kidding me? Let's go Johto. Okay, this one is possible, but I don't think they'll do it because Pokemon's moving fast paced. They would do Let's Go Johto and the DLC for this year, but let's not hope it. But yeah, going back to Ku, I mean, it did turn into a turtle shell at the end of the day. I think it's pretty likely the third legendary is a freaking turtle. Anyhow, shank that like button. Let me know what you want to be in this trailer, what you expect the two DLCs to be, what you expect the third legendary is gonna be, and I will be covering the live stream 6 a.m. PST on February 27th. I will be here and we'll watch it together. I think one worthwhile thing they should put in the DLC is Heath. In some form. We know what he looks like. Let's go deeper into Area Zero and like see some of the notes he left behind. And maybe it's describing scary things that he just doesn't remember. Because clearly his memory was effed up by the end of the trip. Anyhow, shank that like button. I'll see y'all. Take care.